A few weeks ago, I talked about Tyler Oliveira calling out Soft White Underbelly for the situation revolving around the Whittaker family. Well, there's been some more videos, some more updates, a bunch more information, and it sheds light on so many questions we had at the ending of all the other videos. I guess drugs are involved now, guys? Woo! And that kind of makes sense. Since July 4th, 2020 till present day, there doesn't look like there's been any upgrades with the 150 grand that they got from Mark. If you didn't watch my video, let me catch you up to speed super quickly. Mark from Soft White Underbelly has been working with and raising money for the famously inbred family, the Whittakers. Over the course of 4 years and 13 videos that featured the Whittakers, Mark raised over $150,000 with the main goal of buying them a house. But he ended up transferring the money in lump sums to one of the family members just to cover life expenses. The whole time, the Whittakers claimed to Mark that they needed the money, and since the money was intended for them to begin with, Mark felt essentially like he had no right in withholding the money at all. Since meeting the Whittakers until current day, Mark has always had to juggle making new projects and checking up on the Whittakers. Fast forward to 2004, and Mark has formed a very good relationship with the Whittakers. He did not expect them to be dishonest in the face of raising so much money for them, which is totally understandable. But drugs, man, it's always drugged, isn't it? We will get to that. Tyler Oliveira was subsequently shooting a video in West Virginia and thought he might as well add the Whittakers into the video. Tyler sent Mark from Soft White Underbelly a message. He was asking about the Whittakers, and Mark and his team made a little bit of a fib. They lied by telling Tyler they had exclusive film rights to the Whittaker family. In hindsight, this was probably because Mark wanted to protect the Whittakers from unneeded exploitation. But Tyler smelled bad blood. So he formulated a video implying that Mark from Soft White Underbelly might be up to some nefarious activities with the GoFundMe funds. Tyler released this video proving that the 150K seemingly poofed into thin air while the Whittakers got nothing. In response to Tyler's video, Mark made a video slapping the proof on the table that the money, taxes accounted for, was all sent to the Whittaker family. And Mark was super quick about it. He put his response out within 12 hours of Tyler releasing his video. We have to remember, the Whittaker family literally can't deduce from right and wrong. They are extremely easy to manipulate and will go with whatever they assume you want to hear or whatever you coerce them to say. In Tyler's video, the Whittakers take a stance that they don't know where the money is and that they didn't get any, but it's clear that they don't even know what questions are being asked to them in the first place. That or literally they were lying, but you can't blame them for lying. They have the capacity of a very small child who would probably be able to come up with a lot of good reasons why lying would be a good thing. I'm not trying to be rude. I just think that it's important that in any circumstance, we can't blame a family who's socially inept by means that I don't even think is their fault. They didn't do the inbreeding. The inbreeding happened and they're just the victims of it. They didn't choose to be like this, and they most certainly shouldn't be held accountable for giving answers to questions that they can't even put any thought in to begin with. Some time went on and Tyler released a rebuttal to Mark's rebuttal. It was a little distasteful regarding the gravity of the situation, as it featured Tyler in his bathroom with what I think is Zelda music playing in the background. Tyler's reaction was that of a knee-jerk. Tyler said that although his intention wasn't to ruin Mark, he felt responsible to dig up any dirt that was hidden under the carpet. Regardless of the facts, may I add. Miscommunication and bad oversight led to Tyler not checking with Mark after he got suspicious of the Whittaker situation. And when he went there in person, if there was just a bit more due diligence done on Tyler's side, I think there would have been a lot more social progress made instead of this whole shit show that unfolded. This reminds me of this Captain Hindsight joke on South Park. So we know Tyler didn't let Mark know about his findings, and we also know that Mark didn't think Tyler would assume the worst of him here. From all the previous videos, I'm pretty sure we all came to the exact same conclusion, that Tyler overstepped by going forward with a half-baked idea that had misinformation that turned out to be false reporting. That isn't to say that Tyler isn't a good investigator when he wants to be. Tyler wanted to expose a problem, and one way or another, he did that. For years, viewers watched as the Whittakers received nothing short of a miracle. A sensational stroke of luck that directed the type of money towards them that could change anybody's lives. But with each passing video, no one ever questioned or thought why the family's lives were never improving. Soft White Underbelly has a reputation of doing the right thing. The world is negative in many ways, we can see that. But we can all recognize a positive channel that's out to do good things when we can see them. So we never ever questioned Mark. And let's be honest, dude, we never thought the Whittakers were going to value nice things. I mean, we all just thought maybe the money was going towards medical bills. I mean, in the US, medical bills for one person for one really shitty thing could probably rack you up a bill upwards of like 100 grand or more. So 150 grand could be eaten up like that. So nobody's blaming Mark, man, as they shouldn't. Dude's just out here making lives better, and if he wants to monetize well-edited content, that's his right to. Now, a lot of people seem to be on the Tyler hate train. It seems like everybody wants to see people fail for doing the slightest thing wrong. But I ask you, have you ever messed up, dude? Have you ever just been doing a job and made a mistake? Would you like that small mistake then to define who you are and overshadow every good thing you do? Tyler makes videos to entertain his audience, and he does so by slightly embellishing the extreme already scenarios of places he goes. He doesn't do this by telling the people he hires to be on camera to act all extra. He does this because only showing the bad side of any area in the world will embellish the bad side and make the whole area look much worse than it actually is. That being said, he pays his actors, everything is above books and agreed upon, and at the end of the day, Tyler delivers on his promise to his audience so that they can sit there and stuff their face while they watch his video. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everyone that's out here saying that Tyler is responsible for reporting exactly what these people want to hear, that's nuts, man. Tyler's not really a reporter, and he's going to portray a video and its setting how he sees fit to get the most views and clicks, you know? Take real world content and only show the extremes by shooting like 4 weeks of content and showing the best 15 minutes of it. But I mean, if you take the Whittaker situation off of Tyler's resume, the dude doesn't seem like a bad guy. Just out there trying to get that ad revenue, right? After Tyler deleted his rebuttal video that he said he initially felt pressure to release in the first place because of all the negative comments, quiet until Mark then released a video called The Death of Larry Whittaker. This video explained how Betty, the person receiving the payments, was actually being coerced and tricked into giving all of the money to another family member called BJ. BJ had deceived helpless Betty into giving all the money to her to fuel her and her son's drug habit, as well as lie to Mark, which I want to clarify is not Betty's fault. This totally explains why Tyler asked her if the money has helped her out. She said no. That part she was honest about. She probably also thought that Tyler wanted to hear no, honestly. And it also explains why when Tyler asked her where all the money went, Betty said she didn't know where the money was. Now we see how, if framed improperly, using the wrong information, one could probably formulate a video that makes Mark look like not the greatest guy here. The video goes on to explain how Betty got cocky enough to eventually just take Betty's phone from her and start talking to Mark directly, essentially cutting out the middleman. As the GoFundMe money ran dry, BJ started to sporadically call Mark in an attempt to gather some pity money. One day she called Mark and said her father Larry had passed away. How about that? She told Mark that she needed money for various funeral costs. This immediately sparked distrust in Mark, and then yet again she called Mark another 40 times in another desperate attempt to get more money from him. But that's very much drug addict behavior. Yep, that checks out. So then Mark got BJ to lie by giving him a funeral date. Then he hopped on a plane and went there to attend the celebration in life in person. He definitely knew something was up, man. Yeah, to take a spontaneous trip like that, you have to know what's up. And obviously he knew what was up because of his tone, man. He wasn't surprised at all when he saw Larry alive and well.
That's how you're going to dress for your funeral?
Huh?
That's how you're going to dress for your funeral?
I don't know. I don't know nothing about it. I just heard of it last night.
Hey, BJ, we should talk. BJ!
Mark knew for sure, dude. Mark works with and sees what drug addiction can do to a person, and what it can make a person do as well. It gives him a higher understanding for what the influence of drugs can do on decision making. Instead of saying, F you, the Whittaker family, you did me dirty, he actually realized that the Whittaker family had actually little to nothing to do with the deceitful part of this situation. The real issue, BJ, that caused this entire situation is a person that Mark actually insinuated nearing the end of the video that he's going to be going forward with in rehabilitating separately from the Whittakers, but along with the Whittakers. Atozy, who is an absolutely phenomenal channel, reached out to Tyler and asked him if he wanted to make a comment on Atozy's channel about this entire situation. And if my memory serves me correctly, Tyler posted on Atozy's YouTube community forum saying that there would be an update soon, but that post was deleted, I think, because I can't find it now, even though I knew I saw it before. Nah, I learned my lesson. I won't do that next time. I'll take that screenshot. Damn. As promised in the deleted post, within 2 days, there was a full video posted on Atosi's channel where Atosi goes in an interview and talks to Tyler about the whole situation. Tyler explains his side of the story and then actually sheds some information on some things that we all had no idea about. Atosi started off the interview by addressing the elephant in the room. That elephant was not following up with Mark and instead running with that half-baked story. Now, I gotta give it to Tyler. What he did wrong, the dude apologized for.
The tone and how I said it was accusatory, and for that I do apologize to Mark. And I do think we could have learned all that we've learned by going to them saying, hey Mark, we heard this back from the family, we stopped by for a visit. Would you like to add or clarify what's going on here with the money? He probably could have presented that same information, and then we would have learned where the money actually went.
There was no beating around the bush. Tyler made a mistake and he owned up to it.
And I think part of the reason we didn't do that is because I didn't think there was a communication line there realistically. In my head, the idea of him saying there's an exclusive contract, we go there, we film with them, and then ask for like an itemized financial breakdown just doesn't seem like a realistic outcome that they would respond to.
There wasn't a communication line? My guy, how about send a message to Mark like, hey, I have reason to believe that the Whittakers aren't receiving the GoFundMe donations that you've been getting. I'm going to report this as it looks to me unless you have any further information to input into the situation. Why don't you just say that, dude? I bet Mark would have opened a line of communication with you instantly. Not only that, but he probably would have used that as an initiative to launch his investigation, which he already did, to find all the corruption which turned out to be PJ. I think this is where Tyler's coping a little bit. I'm not a Tyler hater, but I will say it like I see it, and Tyler has no place and no right to be playing the blame game for being, not good at communication.
Family, we show up, drop off the groceries, we learn this. Video goes out. I'm suspicious of what's going on here, and admittedly and regretfully, and this is my apology to Mark, it was accusatory and we could have gotten the same information without questioning his honor and just wording everything like we did. We could have clarified with the email, and if he didn't respond, that would have been our answer. And if he did respond, there would have been our answer, right? We could have given him, in hindsight, if I was in his position, I would have appreciated if someone like you are doing with me right now, following up and saying, hey, can we get your statement on this? Like, I have to be realistic. That's obviously how I would have wanted this to go down if I were him. So I understand the frustration on his end.
So there. If anybody still has a sour taste in their mouth by the way Mark was portrayed in Tyler's first video, then this should be a pretty humble enough apology for you. If not, what are you looking to get out of somebody you don't know? You can't expect the man to get on his knees and beg for forgiveness. The man's doing well in life. The dude made a mistake, owned up to it, and wants to move forward. I think it's time the internet should start treating people the way that they want to be treated by others.
We learn a lot. So Mark responds with this video.
Firstly, it seemed like Mark was kind of hurt by how you framed your video. He was first kind of showing guys, I did not scam them. Here is all of the receipts that I actually sent them this money.
This brings up a good point, and this is something I'd like to clarify, is that I definitely get where he's coming from, and I agree. If I were in his position, I would have wished that someone would have sent me an email. Where I think it's a little bit tough for the viewer and myself is that there are tons of people in the comment section previous to me making that video asking what happened to the GoFundMe, where's the house? There's also smaller channels that have brought this up, and then it seems like the channel of my size is what it took to get that response out of him. From my perspective at the time, there's not a friendly communication line here. I think there's some level of, they don't want us to film there. Stay away. Mm-hmm. So it's like, hey, can you give us an itemized financial breakdown ASAP before we put out our weekly video? It doesn't seem super realistic, but maybe he would have, because within, 12 hours, there's a response video where he shows the bank statements, and it's basically thousands of dollars every 2 to 4 weeks he's wiring to Betty Whittaker. Mm-hmm. And this
it would have made you look a lot better if you at least showed an email that you made an attempt to reach out for some sort of response on it.
That's
I feel like that's a big thing you should have done differently in hindsight.
Oh, 100%. I agree. I think that's our takeaway here. It's like, just in hindsight, it's one of these tough things where it just doesn't seem like there's a friendly,
Yeah, no, I see. Well, I mean, like, I understand he kind of shut you down previously already.
Yeah, I feel like I got the shutdown, like, get away, kid.
Yeah.
Get away, boy. He obviously thinks, like, I would have responded. But, you know, the reality is there's some public pressure. Our video put a bunch of eyeballs on the situation, and he felt the need to respond.
This is where I turn my attention over to Mark a little bit. Mark didn't overreact. Anybody in Mark's shoes would have set the record straight after any of those accusations. And yes, Tyler should have followed up before posting his video. Mark put up a wall of defense, but after receiving an email apology from Tyler, things get a little more personal on Mark's end. Mark has nothing to lose and everything to gain from making amends with Tyler, for real. Every day, Mark tells the people that he interviews that the world is willing to give them a second chance as long as they own up to their actions. But then, in the face of Tyler trying to own up to his actions to move forward, Mark is then unwilling to extend the same amount of embrace for forgiveness that he is to other people. Mark, if by any chance you're watching this, you're better than that, man. And especially if you're not going to cut ties with the Whittakers, being friends with Tyler could only help you end them. So what you doing, dude?
There's, I think, 14 videos at the time, a cumulative total of like 89 million views on YouTube. These are soft, monetized videos. Like, there's a lot of money to be made. You know, the family's benefiting off of Mark creating these GoFundMes and directing his audience to donate. And the audience is donating to the family. And Mark is going out there and, you know, he gets videos out of this that generate him money as well. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, this is like the business model of a lot of YouTube channels, right? Mr. Beast. Like it's like the person on the other side benefits through the charity, and the charity is funded through the viewership. It's a cool thing. It's a unique thing to social media. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's a little bit dishonest to say that there's no incentive for him to be out there to make these videos. And then, you know, to sell books with their images in their faces. But that's cool. I think if everyone's consenting to everything and they like the guy, like that's great. I don't think there's anything wrong with.
All right, now Tyler's tone here, it isn't great. Tyler is in no position to be casting shame on the monetization of content. He just can't. He just can't do it. Tyler knows fully well that a YouTube channel that does well cannot do well and exist solely based on charity. The fact that Mark is paid well is most likely the reason the dude is actually able to deliver top-notch quality videos. There needs to be some sort of quality of life that's maintained, in this case for Mark, to be able to continue to release these crazy videos over and over again that are very high quality. Not only that, but Mark's format is to find people that need help. He gives them a safe space, he gives them lots of time to feel comfortable, and a lot of the times he raises money for the people he already pays to come show up and talk in his videos. He frames these videos to give respect to the people being interviewed, as well as he obviously does good in the lives of these people off camera. Tyler, on the other hand, he pays people to embellish situations on video, but there is never really a secondhand thought to help out the person in their personal life. It's just, hey, here's $200 or however much he pays them. Come work on my video or come act on my video. Thank you. Have a nice day. I'll never see you again. Goodbye. Literally, there's nothing wrong with that. There's literally nothing wrong with going out and paying people over the table to do some certain acting gig. That's what acting is. But it certainly doesn't put Tyler in a position to cast any shade on Mark. Just being real, he can't cast shade. There's nothing wrong with what he does, but you know, he can't cast shade on Mark.
There was something going down with the money. I think I was just pointing my finger at the wrong direction here, because the story gets even crazier.
You stirred the pot, and then things just got to a crazy boiling point.
Well, I think I flipped over the rock, and I thought there was something very specific under that rock, and it turns out it was something else entirely.
Yeah.
You don't say. Hilarious, dude. If you don't follow Atozy, man, what are you doing? The guy's a legend.
BJ, who my understanding is the daughter of Betty.
Daughter of Larry, from my understanding.
Daughter of Larry, okay. And she called Mark saying that Larry passed away. I also have a question. Did she call you?
This is a great point. So I am in Jamaica at the time. I get probably 84 phone calls, rough estimate, within a day, every 5 minutes or so. from an unknown phone number. I eventually answer like phone call number 40, and I speak to BJ on the phone. She says, "Hey, I need $150 for some clothes and some groceries for the family." And first of all, I have never spoken to BJ. I've never met BJ. I know who she is by proxy of the family, but I didn't meet her down there. I also have been told that there may be some drug problems involved as relates to her. I've never spoken to her before. I don't know how she got my number. I eventually answer. I didn't send her cash initially. I'm suspicious of what's going on here. I'm hesitant to set the precedent for being an ATM for the family that is in any function beyond getting them a home. The next day, I'm pretty certain I see the video with Mark. That video comes out where he hops on a red-eye flight, apparently, flies to West Virginia and confronts her for using the money for other means.
So at this point now, after all the drama was done and all the truth was uncovered, it can be said that Tyler actually did encourage Mark to do something that he could arguably have done and should have done a lot sooner. Mark is a pretty smart guy, but blindly giving money to the Whittakers is something that I think all of us can agree was a pretty dumb decision to do right from the get-go. It was a mistake by Mark that ultimately led to all of this, and if Mark just would have checked where the money was going, it ultimately would have made sure that all of this money was going to its intended destination. And for that, Mark, you can't blame Tyler for uncovering that. Tyler is wrong for giving you the benefit of the doubt, Mark, but you are wrong for giving the Whittakers the benefit of the doubt as well. If the Whittakers could have been trusted to make good decisions with the money you were giving them, no questions asked, then they wouldn't have needed this money to begin with. So how in the right mind did you think that they could handle $150,000? Not even tax-paying, high-functioning members of society can handle an influx of money like that. So it's a little more than just, oopsie, I was busy, because $150K has the potential to make or ruin a lot of people's lives, as I'm sure you are aware of now, Mark, as you are living in this situation. All right, I think it's fair and right that Mark continues to work with the Whittakers, as well as I extremely respect the fact that Mark isn't mad at BJ, and in fact is willing to rehabilitate her separately from the Whittakers, but also along with them. Instead of blaming the problem, dude actually wants to fix the problem. And that deserves all of our respect. Could have handled it differently, but you're doing the right thing.
The day after I uploaded the toilet video, like, all right, I see that Mark has sent the money. There's no money left in the GoFundMe's. We're going to get them a house. Let's figure out how to get them a house. So me and my producer, Matthew, we're basically working tirelessly to figure this out. And this is like his full-time project. Let's get them a house. So at first we say, all right, let's collaborate with the sponsor, buy a house. They can move into the house. Boom, done. Problem solved. Easy, right? We reach out to tons of sponsors that would want to, touch the situation because it got a little messy with the drama and whatnot. But we eventually find a sponsor that is willing to collaborate with us to purchase the home. We speak to the family to figure out if they're down to move into this house or a home in general. The family comes back to us and basically says, hey, we don't want to move. This is where we've grown up in. This is where we grew up as kids. We have neighbors here that protect us. We have some privacy and they have some land. The family owns some land. So think of your grandparents, some old folks who have grown up on a parcel of land. It's tough to uproot these people and move them to an entirely different property. They've become very famous. It's understandable they might not want to move, which, it made sense to me. I was like, all right, if they don't want to move, what if we could bring a house to them? So we start researching mobile homes and modular homes. We eventually find a few modular home companies. If you're not familiar with what a modular home is, it's basically like a real life Lego set home you can install into a given location, and they're really nice and they're really cost effective. So we find something for roughly $75,000 plus or minus a few $1,000. Probably would end up being 80 grand to install this house, and we can install it right next to their property. And we also get this industrial cleaning company, this lady to agree to help us clean their previous property, their current place they stay in, and then we could put the property right next to it. Boom. So they'd have double the living space, one brand new, and we could throw some IKEA furniture with some of the GoFundMe money, whatever. We get the modular home was the priority though. We found a modular home company in West Virginia that was willing to sell us this modular home for $80,000, give or take. So I paid the deposit. I signed the contract to buy the modular home. 2 weeks or so go by. So this is roughly 15 days ago. The company comes back to us and says, hey, we can't be a part of this and we can't really explain why.
Tyler, on the other hand, wants nothing to do with the Whittakers now. Tyler goes on to say that in an attempt to rehome the Whittakers, he found a place for them to move into, but they didn't want to leave their childhood home. On to plan 2, Tyler explained that he was going to try to place a mobile home adjacent on the property next to the Whittakers' property, but in fact, the mobile home seller said that they didn't want to get involved in the ongoing situation, and every seller that he went to after that also said the same thing to him. Tyler then watched Mark's video about BJ, realized drugs were involved, and completely rescinded his offer, instead addressing this message to Mark.
I wanted to come here and talk with you because you're a third party, you're not directly involved, you're not emotionally biased here. Here's my proposition.
Okay.
I propose that Mark and I go 50-50 on a modular home. I pay my portion of this directly to the modular home company. He pays his portion directly to the modular home company. I don't need to be there with cameras unless he wants me to be there. I don't want any more videos out of this. I'm not here to milk the situation, but I do feel a level of responsibility to my word and to just human decency to get this thing solved. It's all laid out. I think if Mark is involved, then the company will feel comfortable that they're not in the middle of this feud. I'm not asking for Mark to, forgive how I handled this in his perspective or to think of me as a good person. But here's a solution for us to get this family a home. It's all laid out. I'll go 50-50 on the financing right now. With him involved, there's no concern on the modular homes company of we're in the middle of this because we're together. I want to extend the olive branch here. We can get this family in their home. We don't have to ask for donations from the viewers anymore. We fund it ourselves. We go 50-50, buy the house, call it a day. That's what I'd like to propose. And I wanted to bring this up via you and through you because I'll be honest, I shouldn't have been involved in this. I regret being involved in this.
In Atozi's video, Tyler is basically just owning up to what he did. But surprisingly, instead of just taking the L and moving on, which he has the option to do, he's actually giving the offer to Mark to pay half of one of the homes and get this situation dealt with once and for all. Mark, if you're listening, just make a video of you installing the house and you'll make your money back in AdSense. I don't see how this is a losing situation for anybody, really. Maybe Mark has a different plan of action, and that's completely fine, because all this being said, we can't sit here and assume exactly how much Mark makes from his videos. However, as things transpire from here, I don't see too much drama unfolding from here on out. The root cause of the issue, BJ, was taken care of, and now we can all rest assured knowing the Whittakers aren't going to be taken advantage of anymore. The money was given by people who wanted to see good done to the Whittakers, and I think they're still owed that. But, guys, I think my opinion's clear on all of this. Both are in the wrong, and both can make it right. Both Mark and Tyler can heal and pull lessons from this experience, even though it was at the expense of the Whittakers. We don't know where things are going to go from here, but it's safe to say that if they both drop their attitudes and just become friends, then they could probably provide a force of good for the Whittakers that was initially set by Mark in his first video back in 2022. Whatever happens next, I'll keep you posted. Thanks for watching.